So it sounds like every single one of my family members in that way are just being gate kept. And what I mean by that is that the people that are purported that they have been a part of something to work up in this crime against me are actually just being set up to believe whatever that their parents believe. My whole goal here was never to do this. My whole goal was to actually do my heart's work. And I wasn't allowed to do any kind of work because of the hacker in my life, which was Jesse Lee. 28-year long standing friendship, shouldn't have it in him to do this kind of work at all over anybody. But the fact of the matter is it bled in from what happened as kids. And you see, I don't think that my brothers deserve to just get away scot-free with what they did. I don't think that Jesse Lee does. I don't think that Emily Dodge does. I don't believe that Heather even does. Or Cheryl. Or Aurelia. Because what happened was these people controlled my life by proxy, meaning to set me up and stage me up within each of my relationships. So that if someone were coming to be here to be supportive of me, they would be stopped at all fronts. So it makes sense that their kids or anyone else are going to be just as gatekept, even if they don't see it. To believe it, and it's fine. I look very eroded right now. It's fine. The fact of the matter is that I'm not okay because I do have this heart condition now that goes down into my arm and into my hand, and it has been really, really hard to get anyone to believe me on the circumstances of what it is. I understand it's hard to imagine because back in the 1800s, I don't know what that movie is, but there's a movie about it where the boy was being poisoned up, and it's just take your medicine. We're trying to get you better, that kind of thing. But the fact of the matter is it's the same type of thing happening now. It's a modern day covert arsenic abuse against me just to keep me away from being able to speak about these things. So my coming online speaking had nothing to do with this. My speaking out in general was just the fact that I had things going on. I constantly brought to their attention, and I said, I really just need eyes on me. But the fact of the matter is that their eyes on me meant that they were just keeping me from speaking, keeping me from jobs, keeping me in my time, energy, and my reasonability to see through them, to see who they were. And that to me it's important, and it should be important to those that consider themselves of a loving person in my life. So I've worked up a very heartfelt and respectful speech, and I hope that I can get your attention when I'm making it for the very goals of being Christ-centered goals. And so the fact of the matter is that family in and of itself should faculty family correctly. Am I right? And this family is not facultying family correctly when I was really young, looking for support, unable to get it. And then on top of it, in my teen years, growing up, it just seemed like a nightmare. I'm there's just no availability of anybody to actually support me with what's happening to me. So I needed people to see it, and it needed urgency then. But the matter of fact is that there's been situations in my life that are just out of my control based on how these men moved in my life and based on the controllers that they initiated to be in my life. At a very young age, it was really weird that my friend was in the same room with my brother, and it was what are you guys doing? This is just weird. You were supposed to be my friend. Oh, you are my friend. Blah blah blah. Well, I just didn't feel right about it because everything that happened to me is purportedly coming from Kenny not wanting anyone to love me, which is my middle brother. And then it really got really strange growing up as a kid, as a little kid, because it was like I wanted to know from my brothers, like, which way are you guys wanting to go here? And it was always answered to me in a sense that, well, we're on yours and Molly's side. We're not, I think it was just really hard for them, metaphysically, physically, emotionally, spiritually, on every single level. And so I don't blame them. I'm actually out here trying to forgive, to let bygones be bygones. But the fact of the matter is if they aren't, then which way are they moving? They're not moving for my benefit, and they're not moving for their sisters' benefit, and they're not moving for their own mother's benefit. And if you ask me, that's just really rude. It's really rude. And if anyone else wants to suggest that, because I got into speaking some things about these people after this many years, as if I didn't have any right to, then it's really questionable to me, because the urgency is needed in where the powerful role of community could come together and play a great role in rallying together for a mission, for a change, for real charitable endeavors. Not just financially, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and just being there with each other to figure this stuff out would be beneficial. But the fact of the matter is that they're just trying to make it to where I couldn't do anything, which is exactly what they're doing now, which is exactly what was being done to me by proxy, like I've explained before in prior works. And I have goals with my prior works that it's making me feel like I can't even get to now. Because what they're doing is, and what they've always done, is making it hard for me to be able to reach out for support, making it hard for me to reach out for friends and community, in the fashion of just pushing me up underneath that bus. And what I mean by that is, like, when I went homeless in the first place, I was under the guise that I was going to be able to come to Kenny's place and get a job and work my way up from there to get an apartment or something, And that was never offered. It wasn't. It was not even the plan. The plan was that they were going to push me up underneath that bus. And so I didn't see that at the times. I think that the places that I was going into was completely fake as far as care goes. In a care community, you don't push somebody up in a place that's like a mental prison, unless that's your thing, to each their own. You decide. But I don't think that's right in a heart-centered approach, not even just a normal, forthright, moral, ethical standpoint. I think that the ethical standpoint would be to help that person figure out these things. Not, are you doing this? Well, yeah, I am. Oh, I'm going to have to put it in the paperwork that you're suicidal. It's like anything and everything just to suggest and have the suggestibility to me that I'm just being forced under the bus. And it's much like a Twilight Zone, because next thing you know, they're giving you a pill that has many things, reportings of families that could come together for them to sue the company, stating that the pill had made their sons or daughters' tongues swell up in the middle of their sleep, and they choked on their tongue, and they died. They suffocated to death. And so when there's millions and millions being won in lawsuits against that exact medication, I'm like, I'm not taking this medication. That's what they wanted to put me on. And I had, in that place that I was on hold, I had my tongue swelled up half in my mouth, half of it. The other half was able to be breathing. If the whole thing went and it was completely swelled up and I just took the pill another day, it would have swollen up in my sleep, and I would have died in their care. So there's many avenues and many places where I feel like I would have died if I wasn't going into spiritual battle with the Lord. Please, Lord, help me out of this situation. I don't know what I'm faced up with, but I'm faced up with something that, I can't understand because of the things that happened to me before and after getting out. You see, but I go into prayer battle, and my example would be that I would say, I don't know how to get out of this situation, Lord. They're doing to me in here is horrible. They're not treating me like a normal human being. They're treating me like somebody that just doesn't have any rights at all. Like, I can't stand on my right to speak. I can't stand on my right to assemble. I can't stand on my right to bear arms. I can't stand on any of my rights. You see, because they're taking away my rights. And so that's the government is doing, is gatekeeping people from being able to speak out. That's kind of why censorship efforts are out there, which I think is just phenomenal, that people don't get that their agency is being taken away when they're signing up to these quote-unquote free sites that say, tell us what's on your mind. What's going on? What's on your mind? And people just post. But the fact of the matter is that they're stealing your agency away. You should be able to speak out, make your own money on your own websites, just as such as you should be able to make your own apps using Python or whatever, so that you can go out and collect your own community to go get groceries for, to go shopping for, or go pick up McDonald's or Burger King or Taco Bell or KFC. But that's just it, is that they're trying to be the middleman in every single situation, so that once you are the middleman and you have the app that's known, they can actually utilize that through the Central Intelligence Agencies and such like that, so that their operators can go into people's lives in that fashion to keep them mightily gatekept or mightily provoked or prevented from having any kind of originality at all. And so in the Bible, it was just about not forgetting that we have the right to that originality that was within Christ. And so that's why I've been writing up a Christ-likeness movement, Christ-centered movement, and a movement for Stoicism based on the values of the King James Version Bible, because I believe that wholeheartedly, that if people don't mean wrong, they can be going wrong based on the word being taken, and it's in the Bible that it shouldn't be taken and taken away from, which they have. They have like full-on parts of the Bible, and some of these Bibles that are taken away from the reader to be able to figure out what's right or wrong. It's confusing, and it's very misleading. And then it says, do not add to or take and shall not be added to or taken away from the words here. And so people are adding to them with taking away the singular and plural enunciation of the ye's, these, thous, theys, and stuff like that. The things that make the King James Bible very poetic and very strong, because it speaks directly to a person or directly to a crowd. And so when they're taking the these and the thous away, that's exactly what they're taking away, is the reasoning of the person. Is it speaking to me, or is it speaking to a crowd? And so these things are important, because without understanding these things, people can have a good mind, a good heart, be centered on Christ, but they can be getting things wrong, So just like a very awesome teacher taught me in the recent Dwayne online, is that in a long equation, say I don't know, say 10,600, it's not a good number, a really long number, and you're dividing it by 969 or 967. So it's going to be a long equation. It's going to take a long time to figure out what goes into what, where you carry the ones, how you carry those ones over, and all of that kind of stuff, doing regular mathematics. And so it's to say that when you get to the bottom of that equation, if you forget to carry those ones over, or you forget to, move a number in the right order, it makes the rest of your problem wrong. Like the rest of your answer, figuring out that answer, wrong. So it can be right up at the top where you find a problem per se in that long equation. Well, I believe that this is exactly what's happened with our tongue and our hearts as language out here, considering mankind in general, because the whole idea was to get people onto the same page through prayer alone. And if you can get people on the same page as what Christ was talking about in the Bible, well, you're getting at the fact that that authority was given over onto us by Jesus. So there was no one in between Jesus and the people to go to God or go to the Lord about anything at all. Murder, even. St. Paul, like walking into heaven, being like, "Oh, I killed you and you and you." And the fact of the matter is that without people doing that work, and without St. Paul doing that work, there wouldn't be any forgiveness of St. Paul's sins in that fashion to make it to heaven, correct? And so the reason I'm coming out here online is that there's something not only in my life that's being gatekept in the fashion of the problem here is just wrong. It's very not centered on the heart. It's not centered on reasonability as far as figuring out that problem. But the whole problem isn't just, it's like the problem is evaporated as far as these people are concerned with me. Because I think that their consciences are a little bit dark and a little bit broken by what the things are that were in the very beginning stages of my life. And so it's much like those Bibles that are coming out that are just, taking the word, even though people might mean well, and I'm not trying to get down on anybody in any kind of fashion if you dig, but the fact of the matter is that we're getting it wrong based on sound doctrine, the sound gospels being changed repeatedly throughout these other Bibles. So people are running around thinking, I'm right, no, I'm right, no, I'm right. But the fact of the matter is that none of you are right. No, I'm not right. None of us are right. We're all as dirty rags going to the Lord. So the fact of the matter is that I'm just trying to get people on the same page in their prayer walk, their prayer ways. And it's really necessary, I believe, if we have the belief, faith, and trust in the accuracy in prayer. Because if you don't have faith, belief, and trust, going to the Lord saying, "Oh Lord, please, can you put your heart's a center in me? And can you put your belly in me so that I can reach that discernment and reach the reasons why this stuff is happening?" Well, if you don't have faith, belief, and trust in the Lord, how are you going to believe, trust, or have faith that those things that are said to be impossible to this world be made possible to you? And so I guess the reason I'm saying this is not to come down on anybody. It's really just the fact that I wanted to have fun in my life. And growing up, I had zest for life and joy, and I was also very confused here and there as to why and how things were happening to me. So when I did experience the down times, I had to really seriously think to myself, how do I get out of this? I felt, when I went up underneath the bridge and stuff like that, just kind of like I would fall asleep, or I'd go. I mean, just in weird places, I would be falling asleep, and I thought, and I woke up, and I'm like, man, this isn't right. This isn't right. You shouldn't have to feel like this. You should be able to go home, trust that you're going in your own bed, and not being fucked with. That's what you should be able to trust. But, and excuse my language, but the fact of the matter is that I was being messed with pretty hardcore in that sentiment. And so anyone that's to suggest that I don't have the right and the reasonability to come out here and speak on these things, they're just wrong. You have the right. You have the right to want to be able to work without people that are poisoning you up. But that's exactly the resemblance of what's happened. And so I think that even through those places, they're meaning to stage me up in a way that would be hoping for a problem that they've created to just go and take care of itself. And I don't think I'm far off from the truth there. In fact, I think that that very thing is the truth, because I've felt those things many times, and I know that these aren't me. It's not me. And it wouldn't be Christ-like of me to believe that I would need to feel like killing myself at all. But the fact of the matter is that you don't actually feel like killing yourself. You feel like living for yourself more than you've ever been able to live before. So that they're like, well, are you depressed? Well, no, I think I'm oppressed. Okay, well, do you feel like hurting yourself or others? No, I feel like actually loving myself to be able to love others better than they are able to and I've been able to. You see, so I think that the wording there is already getting mismanaged, because it's not like asking you, are you happy, and explaining why you're happy. It's asking you why you're sad. Why are you sad? What's going on here? We need to figure this out. Something's not right. Well, even if something's not right in that sentiment, it doesn't mean that the person has a chemical imbalance, when the chemical imbalance itself suggests pills that on the small print is sudden death and suicidal thoughts and ideations and just really wicked things. And I think that people have felt these things throughout history without having the knowledge base that they need. And so oftentimes that they have committed suicide. And I don't feel like it's rightfully to call it suicide altogether, because the ways that the world is. So anyway, my mission here is very simple. It was really just to be centered on my heart's work. I have 12 different channels that I really wanted to work on, that I don't really care to get into with other people, because they're legitimately coming from my life, you see. And what I mean by that is if they get away with doing these things where before, I was placed into homelessness, and I'm like, okay, well, obviously someone wants me down. I'm living a fictional life based on what somebody else wants for me, much like a lot of my life. And I had to feel it for myself that that's the energy coming from evil in this world. It's not coming from me. It's not coming from my own abilities or agility or sound mind of control of my own self, you see, but it's coming from these evils that had been happening to me the whole entire time, you see. So in that sentiment, I have a lot of people that I would want to ask forgiveness for, and I think that they would know who they are. But beyond that, I think I have a right to ask for forgiveness for these things, because those things were never me. They were never me in my originality of sound mind, sense of agility, control, and all of that, based on a very cold and calculated poisoning of me. And so anyone else that can suggest that there isn't an adage there, or something going on that's going amiss, you see what I mean? That I think it would be easier to figure out coming from the people of true character, true grit, that actually wanted to get down to the brass taxes here and figure it out. Well, I feel like I did, and more so than I did. I was legitimately, from ever since I can remember, wanting to be a spy to help people and save their lives. Oh, lo and behold, where did I get that idea from? Well, why would that have been my niche? Why would I have wanted to save people from wicked, evil men? Well, I think it stemmed from me being in that car seat, as thought of not to be able to walk yet, and then going in that room with my sister and having free game on my sister in the way that they did. So I'm speaking out about these things, and wouldn't you feel that they would have the right to speak about these things? Can you imagine me trying to speak out about these things at 6 or 9 or 12, 14, 20, 22? Could you imagine me at any point in my history really wanting to speak out about these things, but being rather unable to? And then oftentimes that I would get within the word salads throughout these relationships is, why can't you use your words? Why can't you find your words? Well, if I'm able to get through the feelings that I've had all of my life, it's much like eradicating a parasite, right? You gotta like try one thing, and if that doesn't work, you gotta try another thing, and if that doesn't work, you gotta hit it hard. They're gonna get it to come out of your body and get it to leave. You gotta hit it hard. So I had, and I did before, and now it's like I've dealt with the same thing being placed on me by my ex-girlfriend is what I think happened, right smack dab in my back where I can't reach from the upper from the out to any way. And so I was also in a place that I couldn't just go and I don't know, deal with it right there on the spot. I was dealing with the abuses that they were bringing into my life, you see. And so that's why I have this going on right here. And I keep, trying to take care of it and trying to take care of my body. But if they take away my ability to body, mind, spirit, and soul correctly, well, they're taking away my ability to be able to fight at this point, because I worked tirelessly when I was homeless. And people think like, oh, you had a homeless shelter to go to. And yeah, well, when you go into these places, you're never at home. When you're at home, you're never at home. You're never going to really feel home in life, I get it, but I'm talking about being targeted with something very constrictive to me to be able to see how these people were moving in my life. They needed it to be very constricting to be moving in my life in this fashion, because for some reason they just couldn't deal with their own consciences on a certain level. And so it's very much doing dark work, their light work, their studies, health practices. A lot of these people are they're bigger. They're bigger. They're going to have health problems there as well. Just like I got health problems, they got health problems. We're all having health problems here. And if they're coming at me with mental health problems when I've been like doing all of this extra work, working extra hard for the money to be able to surface for these things that are happening to me that were very criminal, then I believe that all of that money that I used extra to do my laundry, extra to do this and that, when I did get out of it, and then all of a sudden someone's coming up into my life and they're going to be poisoning me up again, and then being gatekept again, and then it's a roommate that wants to actually give me a really, really solid breadcrumb there that was to suggest these two talked before, and I am in a really vicarious position now, not only with my roommate, but with Jesse. And obviously my mind goes away, because that's what arsenic does. So as I'm thinking about how to get out of this situation, right? How do you get out of this situation right here? You want to quit smoking? You want your vitality back? You want to be able to see things clearly for what people are and what their intentions are? Because it's important. It is important to see people's intentions with you. Well, so at the point that I was being hacked in that way, the only thing I was thinking about is I want my vitality back, I want my clarity back and focus, and I want to get rid of these things in my life. Because I'd already gotten rid of everything else in my life that they want to purport, even that, oh, he did it to himself, la da 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 da. Well, the fact of the matter is that some of these things probably saved my life at the point that I was at, with a very calculated abuse, but Furthermore, what I thought was, if I want to get rid of these things solid, it's a lifestyle change. It's a mindset shift. It's focusing inwardly hard on being able to get rid of it. And how else do you do that when you're being inflicted with all of this kind of pain? Well, I don't think that their idea was to ever help me in the job settings or work settings, friendship settings, and even medical communities feeling completely gaslit to the point where it's like, okay, they're just not willing to listen to me at all, no matter what comes out of my mouth. Their whole goal has been to dismiss me, and don't do a process of elimination. In fact, make it something else, because doing that continues the gaslit process that I'm already under. So to quit smoking, I thought, well, I'm going to rollerblade. I'm going to put together this mission of mine to rollerblade, or get out walking every day or something. At least like do something for myself to where I'm able to get that energy back, which also helps with the vitality and the clarity of my mind. Correct? Because you get those endorphins going. If you're a runner, you'd understand this. Or if you're a rollerblader, or even if you're a fighter, trainer, anything that you're doing in that kind of fashion is going to bring you that kind of vitality back. Well, so the hacker friend of mine, really really nice person, really good guy, the person to steal away your data, your Facebook, your Gmail, your phone number, even. People have gotten away with my identity. My identity has been stolen, so money has been very tamperable. On top of that, my jobs have been very, very tamperable based on how they move and how they call my jobs, even. Call my manager. Obviously, these people aren't going to want anything to do with you because they're like, well, I have everything else on my plate. I'm a 57-year-old man that really means well for this kid, but I just can't tolerate it. I can't do it. I'm going to have to let him go. I'm not going to be here to protect him. I'm not going to be his protector. So it makes sense in anybody's mind running a business. I'm not getting down on people in that fashion either. But the fact of the matter is that I needed the help. I really did. And I couldn't have seen how to ask for that help or how to go about figuring out what was happening to me. And I even had a coworker come up to me and seemingly that I was in a better mental state, comes out to me like, what's going on with you, man? So I understand it. I'm like, I'm just in a bigger situation that I think that people understand I'm in, man. That's all. I think there's something going on with me I can't really explain, and I'm trying to figure it out right now. I had my accounts hacked, and I was just making headway here and there with some people on my accounts, and they got ripped away from me. And I was even friends with the person that I had my latest anger management issue or whatever class with. She told it just like the other people told it to me. Like, out of everyone I've ever seen come here, you didn't belong here. And that's what one guy said to me, is like, you're if you go right, you're gonna do just fine. If you really do just do your work, focus on you, you're gonna be all right. So I really was taken by that, because I'm like, yeah, I've been feeling that myself. As far as what I have going on, I don't feel like I'm here for any other reason than what somebody else wanted me to there for. And oftentimes it was for their own affairs and their own ways and gains and access to me and ways to steal up my time, energy, and resources, like it does. Because you want to spend your time, correct? You want to, if you yourself wants to go out and play baseball with your friends, and so you get everything together and you're going to go play baseball with your friends, and then all of a sudden something comes up preventing you from going out and playing baseball with your friends, you're going to think, well, screw that noise. Something's not right here, because you're stopping me from playing baseball with my friends. That's not right. Well, it's the same thing as like what the access of having all of this information was, and having access to me, mirroring my phones and my data and all that kind of stuff, which I did discover. I did take pictures, and then it's just being straight up ignored as like, oh, well, that line was not that line was never there, and da 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 da. Well, I know, and suggestibility knows, and God knows too. I believe that the belly that He sent into me through prayer, in that way, was actually right, honorably right, because I believe that the Lord's answers are yes and amen. And so, which is the same thing that's to suggest that through the authority that Jesus was speaking about to trample on these evils, the scorpions, the demons, the whatever, was to author those things through us, that He created us to be in His image. He created us to be in His image, right? And so that's every one of us. So if we get it wrong, then we don't have that authority. The authority of man and human is not a spiritual being. It's not the authority of the spiritual being of the human, but it's the authority that's taken away from us to be able to author a thing. So what's an author? What's an author? Words matter. The heart chakra matters. Your heart, your actual heart that's beating inside of your chest matters. It's a very important, vital thing to your life. And so this is why it's an important thing to me, because I'm up, I'm down, and I'm going through things now. But to be able to author a thing is to have the ability to write it out, to author a thing. So you need your mind to be on point within the sound doctrine, and we need to be on the same page, per se, to be able to be in that authority that Jesus was speaking about. So in order to get yourself there, what do you have to do? You have to really figure out, what is that? What is to be authored here? How do I use my tongue when it's being stripped from me, from the soft metals that they've gotten into my body, into my mind, stopping me to mind the things correctly, or to think the things correctly? So your thoughts go amiss. How do you get your thoughts back? How do you move to get your origination back, your original self and sound mind? How do you go about getting those things back? Well, you get those things back by raising endorphins. You get out and run, you get out and train, you get out and rollerblade. So those are the very things that they stopped by putting things in my path, suggesting their love for me was accurate, when it just wasn't. And I think I have the right to say that at this point. Do I not? Do I not right to suggestibility here? Well, that's just the fact that they're trying to take away from me. You see, because now with a very created, I imagine, heart chakra thing that I know that I had the stamina just days before to be able to get through. Well, I didn't have the reasonability to think that it was coming from my own girlfriend, for crying out loud. I thought she loved me. I mean, she made love to me. She was with me. We had some really amazing conversations, and I thought we had amazing times to build on as far as memorabilia is concerned. And that's what I was after. I was after memorabilia. I really wanted to create memorabilia with a partner and be able to work in that way to be able to continue my life forward, continue from where I was at, and do a better situation, just as anybody else would. Just as, these kids wanted to go play baseball with their friends, and instead of being able to go play baseball with their friends, they got gatekept, and something happened that they're like, well, that's just not right. I'm being stopped on all fronts to doing the things that I love doing and the things that I feel like I'm good at. And so just the same thing. If you go out and you are completely eradicated with this toxicity, no matter what it is. Poison, whatever's stopping me from being able to think correctly, think things through in times of very important times of my life. Well, I thought to myself that if I could just surface these things to the thought process, to the crown, then I could get them out of my mouth correctly. Well, I was still having problems there. So I thought to myself, I'm going to need to flip this script really hard. So I worked with ChatGPT to do all those rap values and all those lyrical values that I made before, and it was many. I think it's enough to suggest that I had an issue going on that I was working myself through. But that's exactly what I was doing. It's working myself up to being able to utilize my mouth, utilize my tongue, and find my words. Which, it wasn't only Aurelia, it wasn't only growing up with these boys, but it was also Cheryl, Emily, and others, I think, where it was just after poisoning me, it was pushing me in a certain way, and it was, well, why don't you use your words? Why can't you find your words? Well, this was like a word salad of abuse towards me because they knew exactly why I was having trouble finding my words. And I couldn't figure out and reason through why I couldn't be finding my words because of a very calculated and cold, contrite poisoning, you see? And so with me trying to get through those things, get to a point where I could speak out, I had imagined that there'd be help out there for me. Well, now they're saying that there is no help out there. You think that people aren't hurting for money, blah, blah, blah. It's not just that kind of help, G. It's very physical help that I'm actually asking for. Spiritual help, physical help, mental help, but not in the ways that this world is purporting, that it's like, you have an issue, solo dolo, that's all on you. No, it's not all on me. You see, it's on the things that have been happening to me, where if I was able to get out there and rollerblade and I wasn't being gatekept from being able to reason through these things and get out there and without the poisoning, you see, without the cyanide attack. Well, once I got these attacks, it was very apparent to me that they were coming after my God-given talents, my God-given gifts. Not only the drumming, but just to get out there and rollerblade, you see, to get my health back, to get my vitality back, and to quit these things, quit these cigarettes, because that was the goal. And I felt if I could do that, and I've already gotten rid of many years I haven't drank, and I did have a couple drinks a while back, but I mean, it was not. I'm not a drinker per se, and I don't hold that against anybody to drink. You know, if you can drink and you're fine to drink, that's fine. But I don't have any problems with the person, their availability to themselves. The way I see it is that these things are spirits. They're allowing spirits down their throat, and it's very demonic. It's a demonic assault on your body. It's a demonic assault on your liver. On either way, it's going to catch up with you. So I advise and encourage people to stop drinking. And then as far as anything else that goes in our path, we are called to not want. And so what is a want? When you're addicted to something? When you have, if you're called to want based on the things that are being placed in front of you that are addicting, much like head pills and things of that sort, mental health pills, anxiety meds. Some people literally crave these things because of what they have gone through. Well, I think that they're creating extra avenues of addiction to just take it away from people, much like the Columbine shooting. All of those boys were definitely gatekept from being able to get the medications at the time, and it wasn't that they didn't. Some of them, at least, from what I've read, that they didn't have it within them go to the pharmacy to get them. It was the fact that the government was suggesting to the place that their medical ended and that they didn't fill out the paperwork in time because they had this, that, and the other going on. And so what I see is targeted individuals. What I see is that's targeting a person to be in a bad state of mind, just as I was placed in Mounds View, where they could utilize the reaction that they would get out of me in that sentiment, being completely like, oh my gosh, I'm like feeling this rush in my body, right? Because you want, and it's a rush of like you feel like you need something. It's a want again. It's a want. So we're not called to want. And when I'm trying to minimize these things and get rid of these things that I feel like I have every right to do and narrow down on the exact reason on why these things are happening to me, well, I believe that I'm being gatekept there through the avenues of the proxy relationships that were set in stage in my life to ensure to themselves that they're not going to get in trouble for doing it to me. You see what I'm saying? But they did. And they were ruining my life. And anyone to suggest that they're not ruining my life when they're so loving and caring, well, where is their love and care? Jesus ran towards these people that had the issues and healed them. What are you doing that's so Christ-like by withdrawing every time I got a question about your contents of character? And when I do question the contents of your character, what are you doing about it? What are you actually doing about it? And that's my questions to literally my brothers, literally these girlfriends, literally my own friend. And I shouldn't have to question these things at all, because love, you shouldn't have to question. It should just be there. It should just be joyous and free and open and caring and compassionate about the things that are happening in a person's life. Am I right or wrong? Would you want to be in a relationship where you had to constantly question the contents of the character of your best friend? No. How about your brother or your sister or your mother or father or anybody? Would you want to be able to be in a position? You always had to feel like you had to question the contents of somebody's character based on how they were moving, how they were purporting to you or about you? No. So the fact of the matter is that it was always, here's another breadcrumb, it was always brought up inside of family gatherings like, oh, you should see how he fights so dirty. You should see how he fights. He's such a dirty fighter. He's such a dirty fighter. Why? Because I was poisoned up and I threw a spatula at you because I didn't understand? I didn't understand what was happening to me? It throws you in a rage, or it throws you needing love, either reaching out for love, reaching out for support that you can't get, and you can't understand why. But you also have your reasoning skills a little bit amiss, so you're easy to push off and play with, and ha 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 ha, mockery around the clock. And then on top of it, you just do. You snap. You reach your breaking point and you react. It's called reactive abuse. That's exactly what they're trying to get out of a person in this through many years, mind you. So that, instead of going after the perpetrator of the crime, being hacking me, controlling my life, and in all these avenues of my life, and even through proxy and relationships, it's trying to push for a reaction. So the car was bought, in a sentiment. All of a sudden, I know I'm coming and rolling up to. You have to be well aware that these people are trying to get you into a reactionary state of mind, and sometimes it actually worked. I was really actually mad, but I wasn't gonna hurt anybody. But I noticed right away when I noticed the camera come out, the baseball bat that was just planted in my car is like, ha 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 ha, hardy har har. These things were just breadcrumbs, like a mofo suggesting they wanted me in a reactionary state. Her even suggesting, well, it's just a $22,000 investment that's going to crap in my life. And la-da-da, well, no, your heart's going to crap. Your heart's going to crap, and your actions towards me are going to crap. They have nothing to do with anything else. And I noticed that it was going to be forcing me or trying to force me into a reactionary state, so that when that happened, I was a little bit irritated. I was a little bit irritated because these things have been happening all along. Like, you don't think that I have the ability to see clear through you, lady. So I did, and I had the availability to see clear through what their actions were now, and that because I did, they all withdraw. They all fled like scattered like water bugs. And I don't think that's right for long standing relationships with my brothers. I don't think that's right for a long standing relationship, being that I was the sperm entered into the the egg to be able to come out of my mom in the first place, from my own dad, I'm getting at. I don't think it's a good way to suggest for all these girlfriends to be able to get away with. And here, lo and behold, I do have a blood vessel bursted in my hand where I have this pain going on. And that's also suggested as what will happen in a long-standing covert abuse that's concerning me. But I only have so much energy to talk about these things without my body actually being kind of thrown into a way, because my actual mind, body, heart, spirit, and soul actually wants to be in a whole different position. It means that it's meaning to tell me that I need this toxicity out of me. Then you could do your life. You wouldn't be in this blight, but they want to control my life through the blight that's been inflicted in my life, because there's a lot of avenues where I have $1 million cases or better, and many avenues, mind you, many places that it would surface to real sick crimes happening to me. So as you can see, that's why I've been out here in the first place, trying to reach for the support. I'm not trying to come down on anybody for their reactions to me, but what they've done to me. I'm just suggesting that these things did happen, and it's just truly awful, and it's truly sad that, at 44 years old, I'm trying to speak out for when I was 12, when I was 8, when I was 4, when I was, all these different ages throughout my life. I'm trying to collaboratively speak out about and against. And if you go through every single song of my lyrical value, these things will come together in pieces. These things will come together in pieces to any listener, any reader. And so that's what I'm asking people to do, is do their due diligence with the content that I am putting out here. I'm looking forward to hopefully not dying and getting the help that I'm after, getting the support that I need, reaching for a charitable contribution so that I can work on being Matthew Murden and being myself, and not somebody that's being gatekept and pushed off into yet another way, another place, another area of life that just is not going to make sense to me. So if I can get your support, I'm on Cash App. I have a GoFundMe as well. I'm on Facebook. Please add me as friends. In my old account, I was up to like 3.2 thousand, and I'm like really kind of leery and wanting to, good solid contact. So I think I had a really good contact list there. I had my old phone. I had Pat's number, for an example. I had other numbers that I just don't have anymore. And granted, I got a way of getting it if I really wanted to. But the thing of it is that I had wanted to, and I had worked up a mission where I was thinking, I'm going to be able to pay this man back double and go there and just be like, yo, I don't understand what happened there, and I want to come and make it right, So, I hope that you're actually on my content, Mr. Pat. I miss working for you, and I miss you and I miss you and Cooley, and even in the situations I was in, I really much appreciate what you did for me, sir. So if I can't actually put it out there in a way that can be supportive for me, then it's just a really frightening thing to me, because all of my life I've been cast down and neglected, and so I think I have the right to say it that way and get the help that I'm after. And so if you do have any support for me, like I said, I'm on GoFundMe. You can reach out to me on Facebook, and my Cash App is the $, ChaseYourDreamsToday, all one word. thanks so much for being here and supportive of me during this time, because it has been a real challenge, and I think anyone that wants to see me for me trying to crawl up out of a very covert arsenic abuse would realize really quickly that that's exactly what it was. I have the reasoning skills alone to know that coming back that day I studied all soft metals and I figured out what it was. I figured out exactly what it was. And then moving to purport these things to the people that were doing it to me and feeling them scatter like water bugs, and for the murderer being 2 blocks away from me, I think it's pretty fucking heinous. I think it's a pretty heinous crime over me at large that I'm seeking help and assistance with. And I think I do have the right to be out here asking for that assistance and help. So thanks again for being here. It means a lot to me to get your guys' encouragement to continue pressing forward. I would just really like to be able to stay in the home here if I can, and get back to working, get back to work, get back to who I am. I've been dealing with some very concerning health issues that are being widespread ignored when I go in for help, and it's scary to me because, well, if I'm dealing with something like that and I'm not allowed to even suggestively say, can we do a process of elimination at least to eliminate my concerns before we just spread me thin and put me into a mental health facility, because that's just, it's taken away my energy and my availability to me altogether, and I don't think that it's right in this day and age that happens to people like me. And anyone that can suggest that in any other way, I guess I would just like to say that you're wrong. You're wrong for doing what you're doing, and you know that you're wrong for doing what you're doing, much like my friend down the street, not able to even have a semblance of a conversation with me when I said, dude, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm just going to try and have a conversation with you, because in all honesty, I think that you're in much worse of a state than I am, and even if you killed me, even if you put me under that grave that these people all needed me to put pushed under in. But I miss putting on my rollerblades. The thing of it is that I know if I was raising my heart rate up when my heart's been going awfully weird, and it's purporting to me that my life is going to be ending in cardiac arrest and shortness of breath and things I'm very much having issues experiencing. Today is the first day in a long time that I felt as good as I can given the circumstances, and I'm fighting to drink water, eat as healthy as I can, and work to try and be as healthy as I can. It's just, you can't be slipping out of yourself in this fashion, and work on not only getting to the truth but also getting your availability to yourself without these things happening to you, because I didn't deserve it. I didn't. So anyone that's out here to support me, please do by sharing this content, liking the content, commenting on this content, and subscribing to my YouTube channel, and really doing your due diligence to realize that I'm trying to cram a whole lot of years into my content here. So thanks for understanding. I know that I'm pouring content out, but I meant to do these and start doing these kind of things 16 years ago, and ever since I was trying to do these things, I've been being stripped from my availability to me, plain and simple. So I had to compartmentalize myself to work forward in my life, and these things are understandable to the courts. They're understandable to the courts, and in any real courts anyway, that they are crimes against our humanity, or crimes of conspiracy, or it's just a real hardcore crime to deal with. So anyway, till the next one, peace. I really appreciate you guys being here, doing this due diligence in my life with what I have going on. Thank you.